with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks and weeks turn to years, I feel for my brother, feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see it unsatisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother, feel for my brother. I miss you, man. You're my brother. I said I love you, babe. I won't forget you, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Sometimes I feel life is cheap. Everything's disposable and so are we. Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. 'Cause I wanna go home. Oh, I feel for my brother. I miss you, man. Oh, I feel for my brother. You're my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, no, no. Feel for my brother. I wanna go home. I feel for my brother. I won't forget you, no. I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. I feel. Oh, I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother.
Creator of the universe, and yet the lover of my soul. Alpha and Omega, and yet I can call you friend. I don't have to beg you for anything, but I can thank you for everything. God, I thank you because this is the day that you have made, and I can rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this day of magnificence and glory and splendor. God, I thank you for life, health, and for strength. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for peace, love, and joy. I thank you for the essence of you that envelops me right now from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. We thank you for this day of manifestation. We thank you for the day of revelation. We thank you for the day of impartation. We thank you as you move in the midst of your people to bring us to the greatest times that we've ever seen since the foundation of the world. Thank you, Lord, that for this time and for this season, you've allowed us to be a part of your move in the face of the earth. I thank you, God, for the revolution that you're bringing forth, God, even in the midst of the earth right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing in this hour, because in the last days, saith God, you said you would pour out your spirit on all flesh. And so now we thank you for the pouring out. God, I thank you for the rain and the move of your spirit. I thank you for fresh oil. I thank you for new wine. I thank you for the new thing that you're doing. I thank you now that it does spring forth. I thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be the head and not the tail. You've called us to be above only and not beneath. You've called us to be the lender and not the borrower. You've called, God, that our storehouses would be full and increase. God, I thank you because even I decree and declare that the people under the sound of my voice, even now, your strength, not by might nor by power, but by your spirit. I thank you for those that are the sons and daughters of God that are called because they walk not after the flesh, but after your spirit. I thank you for the rising up of the people of your kingdom. I thank you that your kingdom come. I thank you that your will be done, even now in earth as it is in heaven. I thank you, Lord, because you are moving in the midst of Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope that all is well with you all out there on this fine day. Today's date is 8. That is the 8th month, the number of new beginnings, 26, and in the year 2020. I am so glad that you all are here with me this morning. Rebel Inc. is helping me out here with my sound on this morning, so we're still doing a few things to get all of this worked around. I'm so excited because my new system is on the way. You guys are going to be able to call in if you want to, and eventually we're going to be able to pull you in so you can actually talk live on the show if you want to do that. Let me know on my sound because I'm still working through a few things here. Mother already gave me a heads up. We giving birthdays and everything else out there. Jams JJ, I want to say, listen. We missed the Blessed Trinity on yesterday. I was a little concerned. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, where's my JJ? Where's my jams? I ain't got no jams this morning, Jesus. The Trinity is out of order. But we're so glad to see you back this morning, Jams JJ. And from the family of Yes You O Cubed, one-on-one, just me and you. I want to say thank you for being back with us on this morning. Trust everything was well yesterday, but you were truly missed. I want to say good morning to the Rebel Inc. I want to say BTD Mom was the first one. Listen, she beat y'all to the chair this morning. She beat you to the chair. She gets the coin because she beat you to the chair. No sooner than I turned it on and queued it up, I saw BTD Mom telling me good morning. And I want you all to know this for sure. Every morning I get on here and I get a chance to see you and chat with you. You make my day. You really, really do. You just don't know. This is the way I love to start my day, and it is the best. You guys are the best people. I saw the Rebel Inc. telling you all thank you. Oh, while I'm at it, let me see if I got some sound effects here today. While I'm at it, I want to appreciate the fact that the Rebel Inc., yes, the Rebel Inc. was voted by her peers and those that have been watching her show. She was voted as streamer of the year. Well, I don't have my stuff ready yet, so I'm just gonna make up my own. The crowd goes wild. Yes, yes. We're so happy, and we want to give you a congratulatory. Yes, James JJ, she showed out yesterday, and she was telling you all thank you, but we want to thank you for what you do. That being said, as my corporate sponsor, I appreciate the Rebel Inc. for being my lone corporate sponsor at the time. They won't always be the only one. We're going to get some later on, but right now, the Rebel Inc., I want you to know that I appreciate your sponsorship of this platform. I want to stop and pause for station identification. Yes, please go to therebelinc.com and get yourself some awesome athletic wear, the championship collection, the black collection, freedom isn't given collection. I know I miss. As a matter of fact, I had it on this morning and I decided I wanted to change up a little bit. But yes, the love over hate collection. I mean, good stuff, good quality items, and we want you to support her, please. She's doing a grand job, and we want to see everything that she's doing continue to go on. Well, I found a little gem this morning, and I want to share it with you before I get started. So many times we get all we hold on, Shirley, hold on. I found this, and I, even as a little child, I was a lover and a supporter of this person, and I found this little gem today, and I want to share it with you all this morning. Is that all right? Let's share this. All right, here we go.
What's wrong with my running for president of this country? After all, for 15 years, I have been the ghostwriter for a lot of them.
Do you think America is ready for a president that is both black and a woman?
America hasn't been ready for a lot of things. America wasn't ready for the tremendous civil rights movement that resulted in the Voting Rights Act that gave the black people of this country a great deal of freedom in terms of what had been denied to them. America wasn't ready for a Catholic president, they say. We will not know whether America is ready for me or not until the people of this country go to the polls and make that decision. This is a challenge. But I think what is even more important than whether or not America is ready for me president is to begin to prepare America for the fact that it is time that other peoples in America besides white males run for the highest office in this land. It's a preparation for the atmosphere to bring about the realization that someday blacks will leave this country, that someday women will leave this country. That's what this is all about.
Why do you want to be President of the United States?
I want to be President of the United States because I'm very concerned about the direction in which this country is moving. I think that there has come the time in America for a new kind of moral leadership, if you will. Not a leadership that operates on the basis of political expediency, or a leadership that operates primarily on the basis of patronage, or leadership even on the concept of you scratch my back if I'll scratch yours. The American people are interested in leadership that has integrity, leadership that does not have a credibility gap, leadership that if even from time to time they do not always agree with that leader, they know that the leader is honest and sincere with them. I represent that kind of leadership on a national level that dares to say that I am going to run and try to capture the presidency of this country.
Well, like I said, I found that little jewel on this morning and it really blessed me. And I said, I want to share it. I want you all to see it because in actuality, did she not set the stage in 1972? I loved her platform motto, unbought and unbossed. I know for a black female, she made a whole lot of people mad with that. But honey, Shirley said, I just want you to know in case you didn't, I'm unbought and I'm unbothered. So I just wanted to get that little gem in there to you because this is always about the uplift of people, the uplift particularly of black people. And I feel like that's some history that our young people need to know about. In 1972, even though McGovern beat her out for the nomination after being banned from the debate, she still carried 172 delegates. I'm not mad at Shirley Chisholm. 1972. And you stop and think about it, had she won, and listen, they didn't want McGovern to debate her because like she said, she'd been writing president's speeches as a ghostwriter for years. So they didn't want McGovern to debate with her because she would have spit him up and chewed him out. And the same with Richard Nixon. Oh my, wouldn't the world be a different place? Wouldn't it be a different place if Shirley had just not been discriminated against for her blackness and for her womanhood? Oh my God. But she set it up for Kamala Harris and the day has come. Let's seize the moment. But we can't forget 1972 put the ball in motion. Well, here we go with the music this morning. And I'm gonna need to kind of adjust and adapt. So you all know how I do it. Unbought and unbossed needed to be the top needed to be talked to the clowns at the 45 convention. Listen, none of them could either say unbought and they surely couldn't say unbossed because every time the orange apparition thinks of something crazy, they support it. They support it, hook, line, and sinker. So listen, and we realize that all of this comes about because people owe people political favors and everything else. So here we go. While we slept, I want to say good morning to each of you There's some people out there in the vestibule waiting area that are not in my chats. I see you out there, but I don't know who you are. But to get us going this morning, to the Rebel Inc., good morning. To BTD Mom, good morning. To Jams JJ, good morning. And to everybody else that's out there, whether you're going to bed from coming in last night's shift, and again, my hat's off to you, because I ain't no sweet sounds coming down on my night shift. And to those that may be someplace else in the world listening to me this morning, I want to say thank you for joining me. This is Yes You O Cubed, one-on-one, just me and you. And while we slept, slumbered, and slobbered, I have to start the morning with the fact that out in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where folks are mad about Jacob Blake, folks are angry. Now, if you saw the video, and yes, I'm going to start with this morning because it is the headliner. 2 have been killed and another injured in this third night of unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. 2 have been killed and 1 injured in this third night of unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now, let's look at this. Unfortunately, again, if you watch that video that I posted, and I want to thank Makiba Clark for forwarding it to me first thing, and then I just kind of reposted and retold as I was able to get my hands on that story. The understanding is that the brother actually was there breaking up another dispute. That's the understanding that I have from the reports. He was there breaking up a dispute and a disturbance. Now the police get called, they show up, and as is always the case, when they see black males, they just lose. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. When they see black bodies, they just go crazy. Cray. They go cray. Why? Because they're scared. Now, if you watch the video, number 1, identify who it is that you need to apprehend first. Number 2, that brother Blake, walked almost calmly around the car, walked up to the door, opened the door, and as he was getting in, this scaredy cat clown unloads his clip in the man's back. Now, you mean to tell me that they are not trained with any skills of de-escalation that would cause them to find another way besides unloading your clip in the man's back? Now, the man has survived, but the father of Brother Blake is reporting that he's paralyzed. We're just glad that he's alive, but he is paralyzed. And this man and his children, his 3 children, who were also accosted and traumatized by witnessing this debacle, they are now crippled for life one way or another. So ever since this video has gone viral, and keep the video cams running, because that's the only way we seem to be able to make other Americans that don't care about black bodies halfway have to back down off of their lying lips, saying something that we did created the incident. Now, I know some people are out there saying he should have stopped walking. Listen, it doesn't matter if he had stopped walking, if he had put his hands behind his back, if he had got down on the ground. When you get scaredy cat police personnel who are already determined to do you bodily harm before they even arrive on the scene, it doesn't matter. Now, come on, y'all. We need to stop this propagation of an idea that if we just do what they tell us to do, it will stop. No, it will not. Not when you have scaredy cat police officers that are scared of black bodies and terrified of black male bodies. They're going to shoot before they ask. They're going to do whatever they can. BTD mom, it was the birthday of the oldest 8-year-old son. Oh my God. Now that little nugget, I didn't know myself because I didn't have a chance to follow throughout on the story. But listen, what a birthday present for an 8-year-old. You said it, BTD mom. He'll never forget it. Never forget it. And do the people care that on this 8-year-old's birthday, he's going to forever live with the tragic memory of his father being shot down like a dog with an unloaded clip in his back that left him paralyzed. So there you have the backstory. And so what we come up with following now in the unrest, because people are sick of it. I said sick of it. So what we have now is the unrest, the rallying. You all remember how we started with George Floyd, and you know what? That's been all the way back from May, and now we're in August. August is almost over. We're about to go into September. Here we come with another body on a bullet. Another body on a bullet. And yes, I want to go back and redress the white man that was armed, that had multitudes of police officers around him, and he was apprehended after aggressively threatening and approaching them with his weapon drawn, and he somehow magically, mysteriously, almost like the way 45 said that the coronavirus is going to disappear, he magically, mysteriously just was able to be apprehended with no harm. And here we have Brother Blake on a misdemeanor offense that he was not guilty of. Do your homework. He is now paralyzed. Hopefully not for the rest of his life, but possibly for the rest of his life. Here we have him now paralyzed because some scaredy cat police officers shot him up, when why in the dickens didn't you apprehend him physically before, in all of that walking that he did? You mean to tell me you have no trained skills? None. No trained skills with several, not just one person, not just two officers. I saw several in the video. All of you scaredy cats together could not apprehend this unarmed black man. No. You couldn't apprehend him. So what did you do? You shot him up. You shot him down like a dog. And like I said on yesterday, the thing that stands out in my mind the most is the sound of his obviously unseen but obvious body slumping over onto the steering wheel and that dastardly horn as the people scream. On this oldest son's 8th birthday. So are we surprised that Kenosha, Wisconsin is in a blow up? Again, we've seen it before. We saw it with Brother George. We saw it. But here we are only a few days hence, and another black male body is attached to a white officer's bullet. And now, As if that wasn't enough, 2 more. That's my headline this morning. 2 more killed and 1 injured in the unrest. The violence occurred early Wednesday during confrontation between demonstrators and a group of men armed with guns. Who are these white men? When do non-police officers get to become police? A group of men armed with guns, and I'm looking at the picture, y'all. You can't see it, but I'm looking at the picture. They're all white men. They're not in any kind of attire. They want to wear a mask. Yeah, when you want to do your dastardly deed and you don't want people to know who you are, then you wear a mask. Corona out here taking people out left and right, and you won't wear a mask. But when you want to show up and do some dirt and kill some black bodies, now you got on masks. They're carrying some kind of something that looks like homemade shields. They got on utility gloves, what looks like biker shorts, and armed. Now, why didn't the police show up and carry those jokers off? Come on, y'all, talk to me over here in this chat. Why didn't the police show up and tote them off? Why are you here? You're not military. You're not police. Well, you might be some police personnel. We don't know who you are because you're not in any kind of uniform. But with these masks looking like the Lone Ranger, with these masks on, with these hats covering your heads, and with these homemade looking shields and these biker shorts, we don't know who you are. But you should have been toted off to jail. Yes, Jams JJ, again and again, we keep going through this madness. And so they show up with their white might. 3 people were shot early Wednesday, 2 fatally, during a chaotic night of demonstration over the shooting of Jacob Blake, a black resident whose children were, notice how they put it, they were nearby. Not in a car where they saw their daddy shot. That's right, Jams. Orange Duck Rangers. That's what they were. Orange Duck Rangers. And Orange Duck Rangers are loose. The Orange Duck Rangers are loose like the devil is loose. Just loose. Tuesday evening was spent in a shifting hours-long standoff between the police and the protesters, and then here comes the posse, and the end result, dead bodies. Dead bodies. That's the result. And again, we have to continuously deal with the reality. These police officers are killing us like nobody's business. And Breonna Taylor, can I say her name? Her killers, to my knowledge, as of 8/26/2020, her killers who were police officers, every last one of them, nobody has been arrested. You kill us and maim us, cripple us and everything else. You call out the Orange Duck Rangers and nobody goes to jail. Then you get mad because we protest. Now, you know, I touched on this yesterday. Because the reality of it, until some of these laws that are on the books, until some of this, good morning, Brenda, good to see you. Until some of this mess gets off the books, they still thinking about it, Jams JJ. They still thinking about, should we arrest it? No, really what they're doing, they're trying to see what they can fix up to cover up. You can rest assured when it takes them this long to do any kind of action, they're trying to figure out how they can fix up so they can cover up. And so as we come into this time and as we come into this season, we have got to say enough is enough. We don't want to see the Donald Duck Rangers out here killing folk. We don't want to see the police officers out here killing folk. And all in the name of make America great again. Yes, Brenda, they're crooks. They're crooks. They're crooks. They are crooks. And while you're talking about make America great again, when was it great the first time for black people? When was it great the first time for black people? We made your country great for you. Evangelical white KKK Christians. And I said evangelical and KKK in the same sentence because it seems like you keep leaning further and further into the same direction. I don't want your Jesus. And while I'm on that, it's time to shade. While I'm on that, Jerry Falwell Jr., you're a pervert. And I just want to understand how you get paid by Liberty University. The same never for us. We are black in white America. You are telling the truth. I want to understand for all of these religious, upstanding, God chose Trump believing Christians. Why are y'all paying a pervert? Because listen, while you tried to throw haterade on your wife, talking about she was having an affair, the man came out and gave the full story. A man that they accosted when he was only 21 tender years old, and that's debatable, but that's the age he said they got him. So here we have this 21-year-old for the last, since 2012, since the year 2012, this man has been servicing Jerry Falwell's wife while Jerry watched, because that's what he likes to do with his perverted, nasty, moral majority self. Yes, I said it. These folks are perverts getting paid. Did you hear? You heard what I said. You heard 10 millions of dollars getting paid. So evangelicals support this. They support Trump. They support and this man didn't just get started. He's been in the news on and off over and over and over again. Now you want people to come to Liberty University and you want the kids to sign these contracts that says they will live morally. They will not partake in premarital sex. They definitely do not believe in homosexuality. They don't believe that you should abort the unborn. All of these little things that they want to put out here. And this is what I want to say about all you pro-lifers that are always ragging about the unborn. Then when you bring the babies into the world, you don't want to pay not one red penny to take care of the children that you didn't want aborted. Yes, Rhonda, servicing between the navel and the knee and getting paid. Servicing between the navel and the knee. Working it out moment by moment, day by day. Or if you're nasty Jerry, you ain't even working it out. You working your own out while you watch, you nasty buzzard, but you're getting paid. Yes, I said it. Perverts. And that's why you think Trump was sent by God. That's why you think Trump is leading, being led by the Spirit. This morning, wife claims they're more in love now than they ever been. I guess with the 10 million in question, she fell in love again. You give me 10.5 mil, I'll fall in love again too. You nasty, dirty buzzard. Yes, I said it. This is the same moral majority that's running around here praying for the president that has been chosen by God to get reelected, you nasty buzzard. And what do you have to say, you old raggedy piece of something, when you get a 21-year-old young man and somebody said, isn't that the typical porn storyline? You get the pool cleaner, the pool worker to have an affair with. The typical nasty, raggedy porno plot, except for y'all doing it for real while you sit over in the corner and watch. But you want to have these children sign these documents when they come to your school to affirm that these godly guidelines that you've put in motion are the guidelines that they promise to walk by from now until Jesus comes, and you ain't doing not bit more any of it yourself. And this is what I want black people to wake up to. Listen, they put this mess in motion, get you all to buy into it from the perspective of religion, and then y'all running around with all of this insanity and control that they dominate you with, and then you wonder why. You wonder why. You wonder why. And notice this, they're consistently and continuously getting richer and richer by the moment. I'm talking about in the church, in the white evangelical church that you can sing in because you're minstrels. Oh yeah, they'll let you sing. They'll let you play the instruments. They'll do all of that because they know sex traffickers. Absolutely. You do all of this, you get all of these kids all caught up in your way, and who is not to say this 21-year-old kid, I'm waiting to hear the backstory on him, because he's liable to come straight out of Liberty University. Y'all ain't ready for me, because that's the kind of nasty, dastardly stuff they do in the name of religion. To get your dollars, to get your pocketbook, to get your coin, to get your money. And black people, y'all stop laying y'all's whole purses up on the table for these dastardly people because you think they've been led of God and they wrote a book. Who cares? Anybody? Did you hear what Shirley said? Shirley Chisholm, for those that came late, she said, I've been their ghostwriter for the last 15 years. That's what she said in 1972. Because they always want our brain. They always want our brawn. They always want the words and the strength and the knowledge that they have, but they won't give us a seat at the table that we made. So then you heard Shirley say, I'm running for president of the United States of America because it's time for change. Somebody else needs to run this country besides old white men. And she told the truth in 1972. I've been their ghostwriter for their speeches for the last 15 years. You need a brain, get a black woman. You need somebody that knows what they're talking about, get a black woman. You need somebody to be able to put a cohesive thought and some sentences together that can persuade, that can make people think about what you're saying, get a black woman. But when you get a black woman that says she wants to run for president like Shirley Chisholm did, she's banned from the debates. Yes, you don't want to debate her because you can't stay up with her. And she's definitely, as she said, unbought and unbossed. So when you get the sex traffickers, when you get Epstein kind of people that's sleeping in the bed with little girls and getting all these politicians sleeping in the bed with these little girls. And yes, as much as I like you, Bill, I saw you, Mr. Clinton, up there on the island. You nasty, dirty people. And we just keep throwing our money to them. Because somehow we get this idea and this delusion that their white might is right. No, it's not. We need to change the system. Sex traffickers. And if you listen to the people, I'm going to tell you again, go look at the Epstein documentary. And listen to these young little kids that are now grown and traumatized for the rest of their lives. Listen to them talk about all of the famous and political politicians that they serviced for Epstein. Now, I do want to give Bill this. The ladies, the young girls that are now ladies said he was a perfect gentleman. But Bill, why are you on the island, Bill? Why are you on the island? Why are you on the island, Bill? Even though you were a perfect gentleman. And all that means to me, it might be the difference between folks that were abusive while they were having their teen sex and folks that were nice gentlemen. Why were you on the island, Bill? But this is what we have in leadership. So, Mr. Falwell Jr. and your immoral majority, I ain't buying what you selling. You heard what I said? I'm not buying what you're selling, which is probably little girls and dirty, twisted sex. I'm not buying it. And definitely not in the name of Jesus. Listen, you all have made universities pop up out of the ground. You've bought private jets. You've built complexes of church property and buildings. You've done all of this stuff in the name of religion, and too many times off of black dollars. Why? Because we run to their conferences, we run to their conventions, and then y'all ain't got no better sense than to try to imitate and replicate it. And some of you have successfully, and now you got your jets, and now you got your buildings, and now you got your sprawling property. And the people in your communities are still unserved. The people in your communities are still poor. The people in your communities are none better because you got millions of dollars. Y'all need to get somebody with your money, hire some attorneys so we can deal with the word of the day yesterday. Does anybody remember the word of the day yesterday? De jure. Can we get some of your money to help in the cause of getting stuff off the books that needs to come off and stuff put on the books that needs to go on? You greedy, filthy, lucre-loving people. Can you do something else besides hoard up money for yourself? Besides making notoriety for yourself? I want to go where everybody knows my name. I need you, your name, if your name is never remembered, if your name is never known, can you help your brothers and sisters who made you filthy rich? Rhonda, you're right. This is just the beginning. Sex trafficking is going to be exposed, and the leaders in charge, listen, are those voted in office. Dems, SBD, Republicans. Dems and Republicans. You nasty, dirty something else. You need to be shamed. And the immoral majority, you're right there in the number. Now, I'm going to say this because it really speaks to the whole, because listen, this stuff perverted. So many, anytime, and I want you to hear what I'm saying. When you can take black bodies, hang them from the tree, naked, mutilate their body parts, bring your children to watch while you have a picnic. That's how you get these perverted people like Jerry Falwell Jr. That's how you get, yes, because the perversion, if I can sit there and watch a black body hanging from a tree naked and then run up and cut off their penis and take it home as a souvenir, you're sick. And do you think that stuff wasn't going to bleed over? Do you really think it was not going to bleed over into other areas of life? Because if you're perverted enough to watch black bodies hanging from the tree, you're perverted enough to do all kinds of other perversion too. And it didn't just start. You've been doing it a long time. That's how you can have your little wife over here to the side, slave master, but then go out there and get all your black mistresses and have them servicing your sexual pleasures. beating us, spitting on us, treating us like animals, just so you can get your jollies, and you're still sick. And so how does it bleed over? You get Jerry Falwell Jr., who gets his jollies watching his wife perform sex acts with other people. Then you get these police officers that's scared and scrawny, and they want to be a law enforcement officer so they can feel like they're somebody. And the next thing you know, every time you turn around, all they know how to do is shoot a gun. They don't know how to apprehend you. They don't know how to do anything else. All they know how to do is kill black bodies. And I'm not speaking racist rhetoric. I'm telling it like it tis. This is what we have dealt with, and you wonder why the people are confused. You wonder why the people are disillusioned. You wonder why they run around talking about Jesus saves to the utmost and then watch all kind of perversion on the side and nobody says anything. And as Rhonda Royal said, this is just the beginning, because the sex trafficking is going to be exposed. And all of the leaders that are in charge that have been voted into office, this is the year of 2020. This is the year of clear vision. This is the year that this stuff is about to be manifested. Am I talking to anybody? So Mr. Falwell, and I said it on the post. Yes, Mr. Falwell, you cried your white tears, and I'm not saying that in a racist way. I'm saying it, we know, white women, white men, they all know how to do it. When they want to do that phony, please forgive me, when they want to do that, they start crying them white tears. It has worked for centuries, but it ain't working no more. We're tired of it. Did you hear what I said? We're tired. Those tears mean nothing to me. So I'm sure that he cried his white tears. I'm sure he said, Jesus, forgive me. I have sinned. Oh, Lord, what have I done? Exposure is here now, and much more is coming. I have sinned. Please forgive me, Jesus. Please, Lord. I'm offering the meat of repentance. See my tears, see my holy tears, Lord, and please, Jesus, forgive me. And I affirm and reaffirm how I am so incensed by abortion. I am so against the killing of unborn babies. I am so incensed by the taking of these children's lives that cannot speak for themselves. Jesus, I affirm that yes, I am pro-life, and laughed all the way to the bank. 10.5 mil richer. Y'all ain't ready for me. Laughed all the way to the bank. $10.5 million richer. Am I talking to anybody in here? $10.5 million richer. Somebody, Sheila, I never knew you. Come on with that. Come on with that. Come on with that. I never knew you. All of your crying, all of your snotting, all of you wanting to hold everybody else by some measure of this is the way you got to walk the chalk. All of that turning red in the face. And you're still nasty, dirty perverts that are getting paid. And I'm sure Liberty University wanted to give whatever they could to distance themselves from Jerry. Oh, Jerry, dear Jerry. Oh, Jerry. Oh, Jerry. Tom and Jerry. This is the Tom and Jerry show. Oh, my God. How far away can you get from us? Not because we're necessarily incensed by what you're doing, But you're giving us a bad name, Jerry. You're giving us a bad name because you don't know how to keep your mess under wraps. Am I talking to anybody in here? Because this stuff ain't just started. No, sirree, Bob. This stuff has just finally started being revealed because this is a year revelation. Well, I went there, and I went there on purpose because when I read that story on last night, now mind you, first he said he was going to step down. I ain't through with you yet, Jerry, because you're dastardly. First he said he was going to step down. Then he changed his mind. He wasn't going to step down. You know why he changed his mind? I need money. I need a severance package. I need to get paid before I leave. And so suddenly, he's not stepping down. And then yesterday, we get the report. It was reported to me. We get the report. 10.5 million. Only in America. Only in America where they make America great again with this mess. Then we got coming to us from the Atlanta Black Star. You see my shades ain't up. This kind of stuff has always happened. I just want to stop and say this. This guy, hey, Regina K. Sims, thank you so much. That is my sister. I love her. That's my girl. Thank you so much for liking it today. Listen, this isn't new stuff. This isn't new stuff. This has been going on a long time. It's just now finally being exposed. I was going to I was going to the story about the man that the police officers came on the report of, you know how we do, Karen, that the man is breaking into the car. They take him down, they abuse him and misuse him, and thank God for the video cam. They record it, they catch it, and after they do all of this, it's his car. Karen reported on a man, a black man, breaking into his own car. And the police show up, do what they do with black male bodies, and it was his car. Yes, James JJ, it was his car. Now, doesn't it seem that, oh, you know it was a nice car? Because if it was a raggedy piece of car, BTD mom, nothing would have been said if it was a raggedy piece of car. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. Because listen, Karens enjoy harassing us regardless. What are you doing here? Do you have business in the area? And then check this out. They don't just stop with that. Who are you going to see? Who is it? What's their address? Who made you king and queen of the chair? This is a free country, and I'm not your child. I'm a grown person, and I do not need to report my every move and action to you. But you know how Karen wants to do. And don't let it be a nice car. Don't let it be a nice neighborhood, because obviously there's no way under the sun it could be yours. But this is my thing, police officers, Mr. Policeman, can you run the tag? Because you run our tag every other time. We driving down the street, not breaking any laws, minding our own business, and the next thing you know, our tag is being run. Now, you run our tags every other time. Why didn't you run the tag this time? Why didn't you ask for some ID? Why did you have to go through all of the physical assault that you did? I know I'm right, James JJ. Why can't you do any of that before you take the man down and handle him and manhandle him like he's a rag doll and he's at his own car? Oh, but Karen, it was reported to me. Karen reports that there's somebody breaking into this car. And does a car break-in warrant manhandling and beating folks up? Absolutely not. Stop telling me that you're resisting. Why am I resisting? It's my car. And then I got to hear the other folks say, well, if y'all would just stop resisting. Baby, we stop resisting. And please understand, I'm not an advocate of violence. But this is what I'm going to say to my black brothers, to my black fathers, to my black sons, to my black nephews, to my black grandsons. Baby, just because you say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, hands up and all of that, it still does not mean that they are not going to mishandle you. And that's just the truth. And so we go back to even what I said on yesterday, the jury. We've got to have some of this that's actually on the books. It needs to be removed. It's on the books. They have every right to do what they're doing because it's the jury. Are y'all hearing me? It is on the books. They can do it. They've got a law that gives them the right. And this is the ongoing challenge that we continue to have. And this is the fight that we will continue to fight, the good fight of faith. You need to change the law because obviously what you do to a white person and what you do to a black body is two totally different things. And let's get even back to de facto. What did we say de facto was yesterday? We understand de facto. You may have it on the books that says you have to do this or that and the other, but the reality of what you do de facto, what you do, and this is the law, this is the standard that you do, not because it's written, but it's just what you do. De facto needs to be addressed too. I've heard police officers that say they carry an additional unregistered weapon so that if they need to plant one on a black man's body, they can drop it down and say he was armed. That is not de jure, but it's definitely de facto. It's definitely de facto. On the blue line, and I ain't talking about something that I read. I'm talking about individuals that work the force that have been caught and heard saying, I carry an extra unregistered weapon for when I need it. That's real stuff. Oh, Regina, I don't believe our officers are doing that. Not all of them, but some. And then I also want to challenge you to this, because if they're bold enough to say it in John Q. Citizen like myself's presence, do you not think that the other blue line doesn't know what other blue line officers are doing? Somebody needs to talk. Somebody needs to come forward. Somebody needs to admit to the truth. We do dastardly, downright crooked stuff when it comes to black bodies. Tell the truth and shame the devil. They didn't have that gun. They didn't have that weapon. It wasn't on them. It got dropped by the popo. That's what I said even about Breonna Taylor. Why is it taking so long to apprehend her murderers who were all police officers? Because you got to rewrite the narrative. You got to make the evidence fit the narrative. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm telling you stuff that keeps happening. Oh, did y'all see the 5 that were taken in New York? Those 5 young men, 5 lives that will never be the same. from the Central Park mugging. The Central Park mugging. Truth. More than one officer that I know has admitted having a drop weapon, and some of the officers were black. And that's all I'm saying, because Blue is not allergic to black men doing the same thing that white people are doing. You're telling the truth, Sheila. And we're talking about more than one officer that you know personally that has admitted to having a drop weapon. Stop it. Stop it. And until we address these issues, and this is the thing, no, not all officers are like that. We know that. But then the officers that are right need to tell on the officers that are wrong. And until they clean up in-house, it's hard to believe. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? It's hard for me to believe anything that's coming out of your mouth, because you've proven that you're liars, cheaters, and stealers. You want me to believe it? Then clean your dirty house. Stop the madness. I always say, where are the good officers that will not identify? And I understand, listen, when you're in the system and that's your paycheck, you need to take care of your family. That's how you pay your bills. That's how you do all the things that you do to live and survive. But listen, at some point, somebody needs to have some backbone. Grow a pair. Stand up and tell the truth. Otherwise, we can't trust you. And if people know that it's going on, just like you said, Sheila, you've heard personally people that have admitted to this. And even amongst the black officers, the people in the system need to correct this mess, because I guarantee you, if they're bold enough to say it to us in public, the people that they work with know that they're doing it. Why? Because de facto, it's not on the books as a law, but in the blue code, carry a drop weapon. Am I talking to anybody? We've got to come to a different level of awareness. They've been selling us all kinds of bills of goods. And I'm going to talk about my word of today. You're going to see how the word, what I mean when I say it and what you mean when you say it, can be two totally different things. And don't automatically make America great again. When was it great the first time for black bodies? Never. And it's still not. But black America, we've got to wake up and smell the coffee. There are some things that we need to understand more fully. I'm glad that my sister, Brenda, went and got the book. She already ordered the book. I told you all to get it. I told you all to get it. I hope that you're going to get it. The Color of Law. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but let me go ahead and put it up there. The Color of Law. I want you all to get The Color of Law, because this brother Rothstein does and he's white. He does an excellent job of chronicling and talking about the injustices of de facto and the jury, and the fact that until we get colorism off the books of law, we will continue to be impacted. We will continue to be plummeted about. It's not going to stop until we change the laws. But understand, and that's why I chose the jury yesterday. May have been a brand new word for some of you, and I'm glad, I'm clapping, I'm happy, If it was the first time you heard de jure, if it was the first time you understood what de jure meant, excellent. Why do I say excellent? Because at the end of the day, we've got to know what it is we're dealing with. And we got to know it on their terms. They're using terms and we don't know what the terms mean. Or they're using terms that sound good, but the reality of it, particularly for people of color, is not good. The outcome is not good. When you hear these terms, I want you to know what these terms mean by the color of law, because the law is colored. It's colored. And again, I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I'm talking about true documented issues. And that, my brothers and sisters, beloved, that is part of, and I'm gonna go here because I'm hard on church right now, because religion has been used so masterfully. Religion has been used so skillfully. Well, I'm going to think good about him before I think evil, because that's what the Lord want me to do. No, that's what some people want you to do, to give them time to keep telling you lies and feeding you stuff until they can cover up the dastardly deeds that they're doing. You need to go in with your eyes wide open. Well, I'm going to close my eyes and pray. I don't even want to see it. Eyes wide open. I tell people all the time, when you talk about discernment, and we've made it the mystical whoop whoop. And why have evangelicals, as they've taught this evangelized doctrine, why have they taught you that? Because if you close your eyes and pray and wait for this something on the inside to whimsically tell you right and wrong, you don't see all the stuff that they're doing. You don't hear all the stuff that they're saying, because you just waiting on God. You just waiting on God. And God is telling you, I gave you those senses for a reason. I gave you those senses because I want you to open your eyes and see. I want you to open your ears and hear. I want you to open your mouth and speak. But you have bought in to, that's it, Sheila. We got to be wise as serpents first, then harmless as doves. And the wisdom comes from using your senses. When people run around and they want to do this whole gospel, this whole indoctrination of by faith, and faith means I don't see it. No. And I'm not trying to take that out of context, but I want you to understand the dimension that you've taken it out of context. I opened my eyes, and what you are calling discernment, I saw it a long time ago. Why? Because if you want to know where a person's coming from, they will tell you from their own actions. They will tell you from their own mouths. They will tell you over and over again, loudly and clearly, exactly where they're coming from. And while you down on your knees with your eyes closed praying, because I'm like Mother Emma Mason. She was a state supervisor in one of the churches that I came from. And she said, listen, I pray with my eyes open because the Bible said, watch. Mother said, the Bible said, watch, and I pray with my eyes open. I love me some Mother M. Some folk couldn't get with Mother M because Mother M was a businesswoman. Mother M was sharp. Mother M always dressed. She was something else. Mother M said, watch and pray. Well, y'all got saved just in time. Y'all know what happens. Everybody that's here that meets me on a regular, you know what happens when we hear the organ. The organ is our reminder that no matter what we're doing, no matter how hard we're working, we got to slow down and take a breath. smell the coffee. We just wear ourselves out sometime, not because the work wasn't good, but even God rested. So on Yes You O Cubed one-on-one, just me and you, this is what I tell you directly. Rest. Do some self-care. I know your family needs you, but you need yourself first. Be good to yourself first. Take care of your business first. Refresh yourself. Recreation, recreate. You can't create without recreation. You want a fresh flow. You want a fresh idea. Or as some people say, you want a fresh anointing. Get that ratio right. 6 days God worked. But on that one day, he rested from his labor. It's a 6-to-1 ratio, y'all, at bare minimum. And especially to my black bodies that always have something to do in a fight to fight. You gotta rest. You got to pull away. You gotta turn it down a few notches. And you gotta take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. Take care of yourself. Breathe the breath of life. Well, y'all know where we go from here. We deal with the word of the day. And the word of the day today is social harmony. Social harmony. Now, I told you on yesterday, go out there and get that book, The Color of Law. I want you to get it. The Color of Law. I feel like it's required reading for being black. I'm going to say it again. It's required reading for being black. And I want to say it's required reading for folks that care about folks that are black. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein deals with some very basic concepts and principles. Well, in chapter one is about if in San Francisco, then everywhere or anywhere. And I want you to hear what I'm talking about today, because there's so many people that look at people of color and they want to judge us like, why are you still whining? Why can't you do like we did? We pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. We were immigrants that came to this country and we didn't have anything, but we worked hard. We did everything we could. And that's how we got the stuff that we got. We worked for it. You got handouts, sir and ma'am. You got pull-ups, sir and ma'am. And we got the proverbial knee in the neck and murder. You heard what I said. So when Rothstein in chapter 1 begins to lay the foundation, because we see this happen in San Francisco and really a little town at that time that was called Richmond, California. Richmond, California was one of those areas that initially, and he does a beautiful, masterful job of talking with a gentleman by the name of Frank Stevenson, who was born in 1924 and gives his firsthand account. Rothstein goes to that where a lot of this started. Then what the country did, they replicated it from place to place to place. So I want us to understand some things. So I'm going to start in about the time of FDR and the New Deal. So we've got the New Deal, and I touched on this on yesterday. For FDR to get the New Deal to pass, he needed Southern voters to agree with what he was doing. So now, you know, the South, they had all of the negativity that goes along with their perception of disdain and the use of black bodies. So he had to get their support. Understand that from the very basic premise. Now, why does Rothstein choose Richmond, California? When we think of the Bay Area, particularly when you say San Francisco, you automatically think, oh man, that's where all the people are, the freedom, the you know, all of this progressive, They're probably progressive, as we call it, because in that apostolic anointing, they're the first ones to realize, wake up, they're using us. They're taking the weight of the federal, state, and local position and authorities to put on the books. Hear what I'm saying? De jure. To put on the books things that are holding us down. So I think really that's probably why they ended up being, because they walked in an apostolic. They were the first to be used on this social project. And then the country said, hey, this ain't bad. It works. Let's replicate it over and over again. So why do we end up in the Bay Area? Because of the port. So let's deal with the reality. When you, and particularly at that time, automobiles and the auto industry is booming. So they find that the ports are critical. Why? Because those boats coming and going, that transportation. Now, not only am I land bound to the United States, but those ports now allow me to export. So the ports become huge. That's the first thing. So that's what we're going to deal with there. Then secondly, we're talking about between 1940 and 1945. What's going on? The war. So here we have the port where I'm building cars, and originally Ford had a plant there that was two-story plant. Now, y'all know they stopped the two-story plant long ago because they realized that trying to maneuver on two different levels was not practical. It was not the most efficient for cranking cars out, because they wanted to get those cars out of there as fast as possible, which we see them eventually start going to a spread of a car plant instead of stories of a car plant. So I'm giving you a lot of information and a lot of background here, but I want you to understand what's going on. So we got the cars being built. We got industry that's going on at the munitions plant. And if you were a person that were able to talk to anybody, I can remember my mother talking about when people were working at Sunflower. It was a munitions plant out in western Kansas, and a lot of and see, it started like this. They needed munitions for the war. And listen, I want y'all to understand, war doesn't just happen. War doesn't just mysteriously pop up. When they need some money, let's go to war. When industries are lagging, let's go to war. When I want to do something for my crony friends, let's go to war, because war makes money. All day long, when you get done, war makes money. They need vehicles, manufacture that. They need munitions, manufacture that. War makes money. So here we come to the point of Richmond, California. Richmond originally was a small town of about 24,000, but then when the war breaks into full effect, it swells to over 100,000 people because it's in the Bay Area right there at the port. So immediately, now, first and foremost, you could only have white males. Well, when the workforce wasn't enough with just white males, then they went to white females. When that still didn't meet the demand, then they went to black males. And when that still didn't meet the demand, they went to black females in that order. So we have the situation of a lot of times during those times and years, black children maybe made it to the 7th grade, and not always to the 7th grade, because the deal was even made, and yes, I'm talking about FDR. We will allow children to go out. Now, mind you, excuse me, this is a time window when the young people in black communities, number one, they didn't care if you went to school for real. But number two, they really shortened the school years for black children because they want to go out there and work. They wanted them out there in the field. Now, FDR comes in with child labor laws. Yep. Comes in with, but obviously not for black bodies. Because while white bodies in child labor laws are getting paid $12 an hour, because you also start seeing some issue about wages. $12 a day, $12 a day. That $12 a day, and then you got these children who are really being used as dominant slave force workers are getting paid 50 cents a day to do the lion's share of the work. So you had, and again, he's telling this first story from the perspective of an interview he did with the brother Stevenson, who migrated, and his family was doing well because why did black preachers tend to be revered in the country? His dad was the black preacher in Louisiana, and they said it was the poorest town in the country. But his dad owned the land. And I'm going to stop there for a second. His dad owned the land. We have got to come into a place where we own the land, people. We need to own our land. And I'm starting here, and I'm sure Rothstein started here, because that right there made the difference between legacy and wealth and not having legacy and wealth. Because when you own land, land is the one thing that will almost always appreciate in value or go up in value. Land. And that's the one thing they really did not want black people to have. Land. And so I'm going to go a whole lot of places, but I'm going to try to keep myself on track today. So they own the land. So when money, and this has always been the case, the migrations, as we know, the Great Migration started, where they started leaving. Black folks were like, listen, living down here and we still can't make nothing. We're working like dogs. We're working like slaves. Let's migrate to some place where the jobs are. And they started going to industry jobs. Black people were clamoring to industry jobs because that was good money, but it was still not the same good money that our white counterparts were making. So his father, who was the preacher in town, owned his own land. They're able to migrate from poorest town in the country, Louisiana, and they head for Richmond because there's jobs in Richmond. But let me tell you what Richmond did. Richmond operated in what you see the word of the day, social harmony. Now that's why I said you got to understand what you're talking about. Social harmony was the doctrine and the idea that white folks set forth to perpetuate segregation, separateness. Their social harmony that they did de jure on the books. The Southern black folk want to stay together. They feel more comfortable when they're with one another. So they cannot live in areas where white people live. Does that sound like social harmony to you? So what they did, they started writing in covenants and clauses where black people absolutely, positively could not own and occupy that property. Now, let me break something down and make it clear for you. Now social harmony sounds harmless. And listen, Sheila said it earlier, we got to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. They package this stuff to sound harmless as doves, but they're snakes in their intent. I want you to understand that. De jure. We're writing social harmony into the system because we don't want black people where we are. So what do? And I kind of touched on it yesterday. They go across the tracks, the railroad tracks, and start building what they consider to be temporary housing for black people, because they figure, listen, when the country and the economy goes back to normal, y'all gonna get up out of here. The housing was built subpar, with inferior products, and across the tracks, because who wants to hear a train all night and all day? In my memory, I remember going to a church, Edwardsville Temple, Church of God in Christ. Shout out to them. I remember going to that church on a regular because it was in our neighborhood, and it's the church my mother came from. And we'd be having all kinds of church. And then what did you hear in the middle of service? That railroad train that you couldn't hear a thing. Now, with all our music turned up, with all the microphones turned up, without all the hollering and screaming and shouting that we were doing, when that train went by, you didn't hear a thing. All you heard was that train. So you understand why black housing was always on the other side of the tracks, because that's where white folks didn't want to stay. And again, the housing was built inferior and subpar because it was only meant to be temporary housing. Now listen to what I'm saying. What was the permanent housing for this poor white people? Public housing was originally all segregated white housing. You heard what I said. Public housing was originally all white, segregated, affordable housing for white people only. Well, what changed? The Federal Housing Authority, which was also racist in the beginning, was a part of the Crookster, along with private contractors who started finding, let's move out a little farther. The suburban dream, as 45 called it. Let's move out a little farther. Let's move away from this and get a little more comfortable. Let's sprawl out. Well, what happened first and foremost, Ford realizes I can do better if I spread my plant out instead of having multi-layers going up. I can do better, and it's more efficient and more effective if I get a sprawling land. So he moves out and away and buys all of this acreage, and then obviously the white job and the white employees start moving where the job is. And listen to this. Now you've got these covenants with these houses that cannot be sold to black people. You heard what I said. And I'm talking about, this is on the books. This is not de facto. This is de jure. On the books, blacks can't go. And so where do the blacks go? The ones that are working and making a little bit of money, they now start moving into the public housing that's been abandoned by these white people that at one time were the only ones that could live in the white public housing. And now public housing suddenly becomes black, while you start getting loans from the FHA to white only to upscale their move to white only neighborhoods, which now gives them legacy, which now gives them equity, because I got equity in my house. So I can give my daughter and my son another house when they get married and start one level up, because I can take the equity out of my house and now buy my son and my daughter a house, and we can live happily ever after, while black folks are multiplying in public housing and living across the tracks in substandard housing, and it's all de jure. all de jure. It's all on the books. And it's all mandated from the federal, from the state, and from the local. And a lot of that mess is still on the books. Why is that critical? As long as we cannot own land, as long as we cannot have something, you can go buy that car. They don't care. Buy that car, because the minute you spend all your thousands of dollars and drive that nice looking car with the white walls back in the 70s, white walls out, drive that car off the lot, and immediately it depreciates. Everything you purchase as a consumer, and especially as a black consumer, it depreciates. De jure, I'm telling you. And so you're spending more dollars, and then this is even what makes it even more dastardly. The black housing that you could get across the tracks that was built subpar, the black property that you could get across the tracks that was built with poor quality materials, that property had higher rates and would not be insured. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. So if you lost it, you lost it. If it burned down, it burned down. If you got foreclosed on, paying for this little raggedy piece of house that was never going to give you any equity. And then let's go here, because I really have to address this travesty that I saw for my own eyes right here in Kansas City, Missouri. They were selling y'all houses where the house was yours, but the land belonged to somebody else. I'm talking about what I know. When Research Hospital, right here on 63rd Street, started buying up that land, individuals started finding out then, I own the house, but I don't own the land under the house, de jure. So they tore people's houses down, paid them basically nothing, and the land was owned by somebody else. I mean, people been paying on this land all their lives, owning a house ownership, but you didn't own the land. How dastardly and dirty can you be? You sold me a house with no land? Yes, they did it. I know what I'm talking about. I saw people that were displaced when Research Hospital started buying these streets up over here where I still ain't seen no I ain't seen no construction yet. They started buying, and it was predominantly black people, black owners that had paid their money, and when the dastardly deed was done, they owned nothing. And they did it with the help of the government. And then let's go here, because he begins to address this Rothstein, and this is just chapter 1. We ain't even got into the meat of the book. This is just the introduction. He starts dealing with the reality that FDR, don't y'all fool yourselves. We talking about all these dastardly deeds about Trump. FDR was actually the one that ran the USO, James JJ. Yes, I forgot about that, dear. I'm so sorry. But yes, you were one of them. So you know I'm not lying. You know I'm not lying. They stole these people. I mean, robbed them blind right to their face, paying off mortgages, and then displaced them from their homes and did not know they didn't own the land. That's the kind of stuff de jure they've done to black people because we didn't know their terms. And they want to say they did all of this for the sake of social harmony. We like being together. And listen, now you told the truth. We do like being together, but the reality of it is, don't come at me with some euphemistic term that's just a nice way of saying you plan to operate in ugly acts and deeds of segregation. Social harmony is what they called it. So that history, when they tell the tale, can retell that they moved for social harmony. Yeah, you moved for segregation and the maltreatment of black people. You ripped us off. You ripped us off with our eyes wide open, and then gave white might housing where they didn't have to pay the same rates, where they actually got incentives to buy the housing, and then they have legacy and equity to give to their children and their children's children, and as many as their slave master shall call. Because God wants us to prosper. Yeah, at everybody else's expense. I disagree. The jury. Oh, you worked your magic, baby. And FDR, yeah, I was on that. USO. Get the book. Let me put it back up again. Get the book. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not making stuff up. The Color of Law. You need to get it. You need to read it. You need to understand it, because this is the dastardly mess that they've been working their works on us. And until we get this mess off the books. So FDR, yeah, we love you. Oh, praise God for FDR. But FDR, USO, that was his operation, and he was getting financial profit and benefit personally and his friends from all of this dastardly mess. It didn't just start, y'all. It didn't just start. And we need to pay attention. We will pump, we will clap, we will applaud, we'll talk about folks when all the while they had their knee on our neck too. Well, it's better than what we had, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Don't throw me a crumb and then tell me, but your belly's full. No, it's not. As somebody said, don't pee on me and tell me it's raining. No, it's not. It's not raining. I know that golden stream of yellow when I see it and I can smell it. It's not rain. Don't rain on me if that's the rain you got. Don't give me social harmony if that's the social harmony that you're talking about. I'm not trying to be segregated. I'm not trying to be held down. And I don't appreciate you charging me 10 times. They were charging those people 10 times the cost of what it was worth. The blacks had to pay. You heard what I said. While my white counterpart is getting a discount and all kinds of incentives, black people were being charged 10 times. And for realtors that didn't operate in that same manner, they were blackballing the realtors that were trying to help black people come up. And they would basically blackball them and run them out of business. And the majority of what they were able to do was because the jury. It's on the books. So when you read Social Harmony and the FDR New Deal, oh, he gave us a New Deal, all right. He gave us a shaft. And I ain't talking about the movie with Richard Roundtree. He gave us a shaft, all right. Because his word for that day was social harmony. And we need to get to those laws. The color of law is against black. The color of law is pro-white. Until we understand what they're saying and until we understand what they did, Social harmony. That's my word of the day, and it's not a positive word. Operating in social harmony meant detriment to black people. And when it worked so well, and they created a ghetto, hear what I'm saying. They created masterfully, on purpose, they created a ghetto and then locked people in. And so after we see it works in Richmond, and then for some blacks, they couldn't go to where the areas were, where the white people were being able to go, where Ford took the new plant. And then, mind you, so what happens with the old plant? You get old, raggedy, dilapidated, do-nothing buildings in your neighborhood. You get all of that, and that's what black people get. Across the tracks, raggedy, abandoned. Didn't they do it in Detroit? Look at it. They did it over and over and over and over. Over and over and over. And they took that model with the jury, with the books, with laws on the book. I'm saying it again. They did it from the federal. They put laws on the book in the state. They put laws on the book in the local. The jury to oppress black people. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was saying, we were talking about reparations, and I said they need to give, what do you think? They need to give us some land. We worked this land, we made this land, we did everything to this land. They need to give us some land that we own. I'll even take the old dilapidated house. I'll even take the land that doesn't have anything in it. Just give me some land. She said, don't give me no. I said, don't ever tell anybody don't give me any land, because at the end of the day, if that land has the ability to give you something to live from, whether you live on it or not, if it has an ability to leave something to your children in inheritance, if it has something that your children can leave to their children's children so that you can get some equity, I want you to identify, y'all owe us something for all that we've done and all of this, the jury that you put in place just so we could not own land. Why? Because then I got to rent from you. You ain't going to live in my neighborhood. But I'm very mindful of what one very articulate black woman said during the George Floyd riots. We don't care anything about burning this stuff up. We don't own any of it. We don't own the stores. We don't own the houses that we live in. We don't own anything. Everything we have is by rent. And we've paid you 5,000 times over for this raggedy piece of house and land or building, and then you still won't maintain it. And you can do it because the jury, you have the right to do it. You've been helped to do it. For everybody wants to talk about, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. No, you didn't. The jury helped you. The jury opened the door. The jury laid the foundation and opened up the way. The jury did that. You didn't do that on your own. So stop saying you want handouts. You got them. You had them. You've had them for years. You've been given handouts and pull-ups. Yeah, and I might as well say pull-ups like diapers. You all have turned pull-ups into diapers because you want to do whatever you want to do. You want to cry when they tell you to wear a mask. You want to go out here and have all kind of protests because you don't want your world to change when your world was crooked from the beginning. And people of color, we've got to wake up. Understand more than the 66 books of the Bible. Y'all running around here speaking in tongues, spitting and carrying on. I don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, you don't know anything about the jury. And the jury is keeping you slave bound. The jury is keeping you sick. Oh, because I didn't touch on that. The other thing, when they started selling property to black people at 10 times the cost, they sold you property on top of toxic waste. Did I tell you that part? You wondering why all of a sudden you sick and got all kind of malady and disease. They put you on top of toxic waste and laughed all the way to the bank. And then told you, because I've heard this come out of people's mouths. I don't mind. I want to be with I'm not against being with your people. But I also want you to understand 9 times out of 10 where your people are, there's a reason why your people are there. And it's not a good reason. We need to, and listen, I'll take that land. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I'll take that land. Give it to me. I'll take it. But give me some of that prime land too. Give me some of that prime land too. Don't just give me your leftover hashed out trash. Give me some prime cut land. We worked that land. We slaved for that land. We suffered and died for that land. We bled for that land. And so I don't buy your doctrine of social harmony to imply disharmony is created when you don't live amongst your own people. I said it the other day, and I'm going to say it again. That's why church houses are most segregated on Sunday mornings, because racism hasn't gone anywhere. And Sunday just reminds us of that. Sunday just shows that up. Sunday just reflects that. Because at the end of the day, you're still United States of America operating with your old school concept of social harmony. As long as white might is on top, as long as white might gets bailouts, as long as white might can own everything and run everything, and as long as white might can stay amongst its own and y'all stay over there, as long as that is the case, we got social harmony. It's dastardly, it's dirty, and it must be addressed. Don't play with words on me. Don't play with words on black folks. And black folks, wake up, get educated, smell the coffee. Stop drinking their Kool-Aid, because it's the same Kool-Aid of Jim Jones. It will kill you. It'll kill your children, and it'll kill your children's children. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Make a new definition of social harmony. Hit the books. You're going to treat us right. You're going to give us what we deserve. You're going to stop giving us subprime loans. You're going to stop putting us in subprime housing. You're going to give us some land that's worth something. Oh, and then did I say, for those that moved in Richmond, they weren't able to move to the white area, but they were able to move to the unincorporated area of Richmond. And I remember this. You know what the unincorporated areas were? Because I went to Bonner. Grandview used to be unincorporated. That's where the black folks could go. But they not going to fix your streets because you ain't got none. It's dirt. Oh yeah, I'm talking about in my lifetime. And I'm talking about Bonner Springs, Kansas. That's where I came from. And they had a little area called Grandview. They did the same thing in Richmond. It's just a repeat and repeat. They figured out how to do it and just kept doing it over and over again. That's where you go and all of a sudden you start driving and the streets are all dirt. The houses all look like little shanty shacks, but they do look a little better than the ones down in the ghetto. You can get a little bit of fresh air, but it's all non-maintained. Nobody keeps it up except for the neighbors, but you still pay your taxes and everything like everybody else does. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That little dirty deed kept getting repeated. Am I talking to anybody in here? We've seen it over and over and over. And so he was finally able to get his little ducats together and move to unincorporated Richmond, which meant he got no services for the taxes he paid. But that was good living. That was good living. It was better than being in the ghetto. So I want you to be aware today, social harmony that FDR created and got fat off of, and they keep doing it. They keep doing it. It's the same plays out of the same playbook. The same plays out of the same playbook. We vote them in office. They get rich. Trump is dastardly. Yes, he is, but he's not the first. All that's happened is it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and more obvious. Trump didn't have enough sense to hide his mess. The rest of them are like, at least I know how to do it. Throw a rock and hide my hand. He's too stupid he don't know. He's just dumb. But he's not the first, beloved. He's not the first. FDR made a mint. Get the book. Research. Get some education. If we don't know where we come from, we're going to repeat it. We need accountability in office. We need, listen, and I'm going to say it again to all of these black rich preachers. I ain't even going to deal with the evangelicals. To all of these black rich preachers, get us some people that can work and deal with nothing but de jure. We don't necessarily have time because we got to work. You don't need 50 million a year, sir. You don't need 50 million a year, ma'am. You don't need a private jet, sir and ma'am, that you made off of these poor people's backs. Do something profitable. Get some people that can study de jure and get this stuff right. Throwing a piece of turkey here and there is not helping us. Just like that $1,200 check one time, it's not helping us. Stop throwing stuff at us and thinking we're going to be so stupid and so blind that we just eat it up like you really did something for me. No, you ain't did nothing for me, but I did everything for you because you wouldn't have that money, sir and ma'am, if we hadn't bought your books, if we hadn't come to your conventions, if we hadn't done all of this that we done put over in your lap. And you done gone on about your business and making legacy every day for you and urine. I said urine. urine, urine. You done made for you and urine. And you want us to believe that that golden stream is rain of blessings on our heads. No, it's not. It's urine. urine. And urine, only person benefiting are you and your children. It's despicable. And it does not lend to true social harmony. We got to change the definition. We got to address it. We got to deal with it. So, beloved, that's my word for the day. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you learned something. I'm really on a mission. I'm really on a mission. I want to expose this mess every way that I can. I want to challenge people. And yes, I am a minister of the gospel. I didn't get rich off of no church. And please let me clarify for you. I didn't gave the church. I followed my father's footsteps. But at the end of the day, for you preachers that have made a killing off of these people, you need to do something. You need to do something for the people, more than giving us a turkey and a slab of butter here and there. Did I say something? Well, I love y'all with the love of God. I really, really do. I want to encourage you to get the book because I want you all to have some conversation with me. But I intend to stay here for a minute because Rothstein did us a tremendous service. He did a tremendous service. Oh, thank you, James JJ. Yes, you were one of them. And thank you for encouraging me to speak my truth because I believe. And yes, you, and even you, we need to do something to make a real, viable, valid change in the system. Get the Color of Law. I'm going to say it again. Christmas books. Gift it to somebody. Give it to your children, to your grandchildren. Give it everywhere you can. Get it for yourself. So I want you to really get this. I want you to get it in your possession and don't just get it, read it. For those that say, I'm not a good reader, I'm going to get it and put it down. They have it. The Color of Law is on audio books. You can get it on audio where you don't even have to read. Just turn it on and let it read it to you. But I do want you to listen. I want you to hear it. Get this book because it will open your eyes. I want you to see what we're working against because we got to have a plan how we want to move forward. And I'm not trying to repeat. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to repeat the same mess that I came from. I want something different. So if we want something different, we're going to have to do something different. But you got to know your history, beloved. If you don't know your history, you'll be doomed to repeat it. Like I say every day, I got it from my friend Rhonda Royal. If you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. So I want you to deal with your stuff. Remember, I want you to get a breather in. Take some time for you. Do some self-care. Make sure. Love yourself because you're the only you that you get. Thank you for joining me today on this edition of Yes You O Cubed 101, just me and you. Thank you for the conversation and peace for your journey.